I cannot talk enough about concealer. Holy moly, is it ever a lifesaver? I just want to say, finding the right concealer is tough because there's many facets to it. Some people like a really thin, light conceal. Some people need just nice medium. Some, like me, go for heavier or like more coverage, full coverage concealer, and texture, because as we mature our under eyes are very thin and it becomes a search of a century to have something that covers and doesn't make us look cakey, wrinkly, and dry under our eyes. So that is going to be something that you fight to find. I love the one that I have within the line because I just feel that it does full coverage for me but doesn't make me look cakey or liney underneath my eyes. But everybody has their own preference, and that is important as well. So we'll talk more about that, but let's just go into some of the important aspects of concealer. So concealer is now going to become your new best friend. Not only can it do miracles for dark circles, but it can also be an ongoing eraser for makeup errors, makeup mishaps, or things that you want to like sharpen and fix. Finding a good concealer is always going to be a treasure hunt. And so those of you that do follow me, and I will show you some application videos within this video, stuff that I've already shown of how to apply concealer and how it covers after your color corrector is done, and how much of a difference it makes. When you're working around the eye area, just my high suggestion, massive suggestion, is to work with your fourth finger. If you touch your face, your fourth finger is going to be your weakest finger, and it requires you to put less pressure, or you just naturally put less pressure because it is such a weak finger. It's really hard to do hard pressing motion. We can do it easily with our second finger, so I recommend getting in the habit of using your fourth finger. Whether you're applying it on yourself or you're applying it to other people, it's important. Depending on what's going on under your eyes, if you're drier or more mature, using the least concealer as possible under the eyes, but wanting to cover the discoloration is what I suggest. You do what is comfortable for you. Some people are very uncomfortable with concealer under their eyes, but I prefer concealer as opposed to discoloration, even if it does slightly bring out a line or two. I'd rather have it nice and even. So it's sometimes a little bit of give and take. Makeup is not perfect, but in my suggestion it would be to do something like that where you're using as little as you can get away with, but you still want to make sure that the darkness is covered from the face. Concealer is also awesome for managing differences in tones. Like sometimes I find when working with clients that they have really white underneath their eyes and kind of like looks like a natural raccoon under there, and so putting something slightly with a slight warmth to it underneath the eyes helps to balance the face out. And then there's also those that I want to brighten up. So after it's been color corrected, I might go neutral with a concealer, and then a slight bit of a brighter tone, like a peachy or brighter tone right in the inner corner to give it a bit of a lift or a brightness. Also love this technique. I'll show you this one. So taking anything with a flatter or sharper edge to it and taking your concealer and you're making yourself a little bit, I have a little bit of concealer there, making a little bit of a sharp line here can actually give your eyes a lift, and you can do that in many places. I should do that a little bit better. Let me get a little more concealer. Okay, so showing you what I mean. I'm just taking up a little bit onto my hand here and taking a little bit onto the brush, and just to show you here, so just taking it, and you can use this as a sharpener on your eye area here so that your makeup looks crisper. You can also apply it underneath the eyebrow here so that you can make this look sharper as well. You can obviously use it. I use concealer all over the lid before I do eyeshadow because I find that it helps the eyeshadow blend better once I've put foundation, concealer, and powder down, and then I can go on with creams. I can go on with anything. and it will just look more even and stick. That's something that I do. Not everybody does makeup the same way, so keep that in mind. Everybody has personal preference, but for me that really, really does work well. So once you've found an appropriate color, you also want to just double check the tone. Your client might have neutral, olive, orange, mocha, chocolate, yellow, or peach undertones. You can play with the tone for effect, but in a classic look, you just kind of want to keep it matching the under eye color for a classic look. But as I mentioned before, you might want to darken, you might want to shift the color slightly. Who knows? Makeup is such an art form, and I don't like to put too many rules on it because those rules are always broken at some point or another. So if you run into a pimple or something like that, which is going to happen, you can take a little bit of the concealer. We'll just pretend this is a pimple here. I usually do have a pimple, but it's not. And then you want to just put a little bit of product and dabble it over, and then a touch of powder to seal it on top. And you can always work it in with a brush as well, just to get it, you know, nicely covered. But make sure that your concealer isn't too light, because that can sometimes illuminate and brighten the pimple. Make sure it's bang on color-wise, and just, you can't do anything about a raised bit on the skin. A raise is a raise, but you can even the coloring out, and that'll be the best that you can do. And there's always Photoshop. So always apply your product with either a brush, finger, or sponge, or combination of all that's needed. I also just want to say, try to blend as much with your finger wherever possible. If you're comfortable using your hands, just the warmth of your fingers can really emulsify the product. But you know, that's, to me, that's my best tool, but everyone is so different. And this is the tricky part. You might notice creasing starting to occur, especially if your eyes here are very hot. When you notice the creasing occur, make sure that you've cleared it out just by tapping on it and then repowdering if need be, or if not powdering, then applying your eyeshadow right away, because if you don't clear out the crease, it will cement in with any kind of powder on top of a crease, and it'll just be a cemented crease. So make sure you clear out creasing, tab it, and clear it out before you continue on, so that you don't have that cemented crease. Always, always, always have a little, in my opinion, touch, at least touch of powder, so that it doesn't move on you throughout the day. Some people don't like powder at all. Okay, but I can powder and put balm on top and give it the appearance of never powdered at all, but the creasing will be sealed. So that is the way that I handle it, especially for somebody with oilier skin. It's going to be a hot mess if there's no powdering. Just make sure that the way that you're powdering isn't cakey, that it's just to seal up the makeup, and they work and blend well together. And we're going to go on to assignment. Let's roll. So your assignment for today is going to be to research concealer, and I want you to find ones that are highly rated and produce a top 10 list for both coverage and what brands of concealers are best for mature under eyes, because you're going to run into some problems there if you have mature under eyes and you don't know what to use. If you're just doing this for yourself and you're not mature and you're not going to do it on your mom or anybody else, then that's fine. But if you are going to be working on under eyes of mature people, or you are mature yourself, you're going to want to research concealers that are friendly for under the eyes of mature people. There are many that are highly rated. You just have to Google them or go onto YouTube and see, and I have a ton of ratings of concealer on my channel as well, and take a look and see. So your assignment is just to figure out which concealers are best, figure out your undertone, and I suggest having at least 2 concealers, one bang on and one with a little bit of a brightening effect that has good coverage as well, so that if you need to cover something up, you can. And you know, deciding on if you want to wear concealer every day, that's your call, but it's my #1 go-to product. Concealer does everything. It also erases any mistakes you might make. It's like your eraser, your makeup eraser. So if you do make a mistake around your face somewhere, you have a fleck, you can use it and just dabble it on and it'll take it away, like clean it up. So your concealer is your friend, and not having that in your kit is a big mistake. You want to have concealer. And I hope this has been helpful, and yeah, let me know your thoughts and comments below and tell me what your favorite concealer is. See you guys in the next video. We're going to be doing powder tomorrow, so join me there.